Saturday mornings were supposed to feel slow. Cartoons, sunlight sneaking under the blinds, the small, quiet luxury of staying in bed 10 extra minutes. But in our house, Saturday morning meant I was already late, even if the clock said I wasn't. I was 12 years old, curled under a sheet that wasn't warm anymore, listening. You learn a lot from listening when you're a kid and you don't have power. You learn footsteps. You learn how drawers sound when someone is trying not to slam them. You learn the difference between getting ready and getting ready to explode. From the other room, I heard my mother moving around, soft, quick steps, and then I heard him. My stepfather liked to rise early on weekends, like it was a badge of honor. Like sleeping in was a personal insult to him. Breakfast was always the plan, and it wasn't the fun kind of breakfast. It was the kind where everyone sat stiff at a booth and pretended we were a normal family while my stomach turned itself inside out. And that morning, before I even saw them, I heard arguing. Not quiet arguing, not we disagree arguing. The kind that has sharp corners. The kind where you already know it's going to land on you, even if you don't understand every word. I stared at the ceiling, heart already picking up speed, and I thought, please, not today. Please just go to breakfast and forget I exist. Then I heard the stomp, heavy, determined steps straight down the hall. My mother's voice following behind him, lower, pleading, trying to slow a train with her hands. My bedroom door flew open so hard it smacked the wall. He barged in my room like it belonged to him more than it belonged to me. "The carpet," he snapped, voice loud enough to fill the hallway, the house, my ribs. "The damn carpet isn't vacuumed." I blinked, still half asleep, trying to assemble the rules fast enough. In our house, the rules changed depending on his mood. The same action could be fine on Tuesday and a crime on Saturday. I sat up slowly, hair stuck to my cheek, and said the first thing that seemed safe. "I can do it right now." But this wasn't about the carpet. It never was really about the carpet. Here's what I didn't have the words for at 12. Some people don't want to be right. They want to be angry. They want a reason. They want a target. And if you're the smallest person in the room, you become the easiest place to aim. He accused me of things I didn't do. Then he accused me of not doing things I was supposed to do. It was like living inside a test where the answers kept changing and the punishment was always the same. And the vacuum, God, the vacuum, had become his favorite weapon. To this day, I still hate vacuuming. Day after day, he'd be on me about not running it. I kept saying I had. He kept saying I hadn't. My mother tried to smooth it over the way she always did. Quiet, practical, hoping if she just got the facts right, it would fix the storm. The day before, I'd complained to her, not dramatically, just scared, tired, confused. So she decided to test it. She ran the vacuum herself. I can still see her in my mind, like she thought reality would calm him down. Like if she could prove the carpet had been done, the argument would evaporate. But confronting him with the truth didn't fix anything. It made it worse. Because the truth meant he had been wrong. And being wrong wasn't allowed in his world. I still remember the look on his face when she said she had run the vacuum. Not an aha type of moment. More like, these two wenches made me look like a fool. That morning, standing in my doorway, he wasn't winding down like his usual tirades. He wasn't going to burn out and stomp back to his room. This time was different. Like the air itself had decided something was coming and it wasn't good. My mother hovered behind him in the hall, eyes darting between us. She kept trying to talk him down, voice too soft for what we were living inside. He pointed at the carpet like it had personally offended him. Then he leaned in and said something about consequences, about how I was going to think about what I'd done. Then he turned, already done with me, already disgusted, and barked that they were leaving for breakfast. They would go to breakfast, and I would stay home, alone, to think, to wait. And when they came back, I was going to get the punishment of my life. That's not drama. That's not a child exaggerating. That's what my body knew. When they finally left, the house went quiet in a way that felt fake, like a stage set after the actors walk off. The silence didn't calm me. It made everything louder inside my head. I stood in the living room, listening to their car pull away, and I felt time begin to thicken. Because now there was nothing between me and the next thing. I tried to do normal for about 5 minutes. I got a bowl of cereal. I straightened my bed covers. I tried to calm myself through effort. But the fear didn't shrink. It grew. It grew with every minute they were gone. And then, somewhere in the middle of that sick, spinning feeling, a thought arrived like a match. Leave. Not run to my room. Not hide. Not be good enough. Leave. I got dressed fast, hands shaking. I didn't pack a suitcase because I didn't own runaway in my mind yet. I just knew I had to be gone before the front door opened again. I stepped outside into the morning air and it hit my face like permission. I started walking down Vincent Avenue toward Arrow Highway, aiming myself toward San Dimas. My parents had friends there, people they visited almost every weekend. The kind of friends adults have when they want to pretend their life is fine. I knew the kids on that block. I knew their sidewalks and their bikes and the way their moms called them in for dinner. And there was one boy there, Philip, my first love, or what passes for love when you're 12 and starving for kindness. I didn't think, I'm going to his house. I thought, I'm going to his neighborhood. Like the neighborhood itself was a safe zone. Like I could just exist near him and that would be enough to keep me from being swallowed by my own home. It helped that I had a strange kind of courage borrowed from television. There was this series on at the time called James at 15, and the title character runs away hitchhiking across the country, Oregon to Boston. Like it's hard but doable. Like the world is dangerous but survivable. That show planted a glimmer of hope in my head. If he can do it, maybe I can too. So when I reached the bigger road and cars passed, I did the thing I'd only seen in movies. I stuck my thumb out. My stomach dropped as soon as I did it. Because the second your thumb goes up, you realize you just announced to the world, I'm alone. Surprisingly, my first ride came fast. A large utility truck pulled over. The driver looked like a normal working guy. He smiled, he said something that sounded friendly enough. I climbed in, trying to act like I did this all the time, like I was older than I was, like I wasn't a kid with no idea what she was doing. The truck rumbled forward. At first, it was fine. Road noise, the smell of a sun-heated dashboard, that weird comfort of being inside something bigger than you. And then, out of nowhere, he glanced ahead and said, "Oh crap, that's my boss. You better put your head down." Before I could even ask what he meant, his hand came behind my neck. Firm, not gentle, he pushed my face down into his lap. I froze. Not because I agreed, not because I understood. Because at 12, when an adult does something sudden and wrong, your body often chooses the oldest survival setting. Don't move. Time did that sick stretching thing again. I remember the fabric of his pants against my cheek. I remember my mind going blank. I remember thinking, what is happening? What should I do? I didn't know what he wanted. I didn't know what any of it meant. I only knew it was wrong. After what felt like forever, probably seconds, he pulled over, cleared his throat like this was normal, said he better drop me off. I climbed out fast, legs wobbly, and the moment the truck pulled away, I stood there breathing like I'd just escaped something I couldn't name yet. That was my first lesson in hitchhiking. Not everyone who stops is helping. I don't remember every ride after that. My brain didn't store the details. But I remember the feeling of staying alert in a way a kid shouldn't have to. Eventually, somehow, I made it to Philip's neighborhood. And when I walked up the street with no parents in sight, the kids gathered around me like I was a character from a story. A group of 7 or 8 kids, ages 12 down to 7 or 8, just orbiting me with wide eyes and questions. Did you really leave? Did they chase you? Are you in trouble? Kids aren't dumb. They'd seen my stepfather. They'd seen his face when he was angry. They'd seen the way I moved around him. And when they heard what was going on, something amazing happened. They didn't laugh. They didn't call me dramatic. They disappeared into their houses, one by one, and came back stealthy, like we were all running a mission. A bottle of water, a banana, a couple of cookies, a sandwich cut in quarters like someone wanted to make it last. They gathered what they could without getting caught by their parents, and they shared it like it mattered. And for the rest of the day, I did something I hadn't done in a long time. I played. We rode bikes, we walked the block, we joked. We existed like normal kids with normal problems. 6 miles between Covina and San Dimas felt like another country to me. In my mind, my parents were far away, trapped on the other side of distance and time. I didn't think they'd find me. I didn't think about the consequences. I just felt the relief of being somewhere my stepfather wasn't. As dusk came, the neighborhood changed. Porch lights flickered on, the air cooled. The kids slowly got called inside. One voice here, one door there. The day folding itself up. Philip and I sat on the curb for a long time, talking the way kids do when they're not sure what to say, but they don't want the moment to end. At one point, he went inside to check in with his parents. I waited outside. Then his older brother came out. He introduced himself, polite but firm, and said I needed to go home. Not because he was cruel, because he was responsible, because it was dark, because Philip couldn't keep coming out, and because adults had rules and brothers enforced them. I don't think he understood the whole story. And I didn't want his parents involved. Not because they wouldn't help, but because I didn't want the attention. Attention meant questions. Questions meant phone calls. Phone calls meant my stepfather. So I said okay. I stood up and I walked away. One of the kids had brought me a pillow and a blanket earlier, like we were all pretending this was camping and not a child trying to survive a night outside. They'd shown me places near the school where I could hide. Little alcoves, shadows, corners, where you couldn't be seen from the street. I took the pillow and blanket and found a small recessed spot in front of one of the classrooms. A shallow alcove just deep enough to tuck into. I lay down. The concrete was cold. The night air felt too big. I remember pulling the blanket up and trying to make myself small enough to disappear. And I remember realizing something quietly terrifying. If no one came for me, I was alone. If someone did come for me, I was still alone. At some point, I slept. The next morning, I woke to the sound of little voices. Two of the younger kids had found me, fascinated like I was a secret. They handed me fruit and a plastic bag of dry cereal like this was the most normal thing in the world. I ate sitting up, hair wild, eyes gritty, trying to smile so they wouldn't see how scared I was underneath the adventure. That day blurred into the same pattern. Hanging out, playing, roaming the block, kids appearing with food and water, slipping it into the group like contraband kindness. For a few hours, I let myself pretend this could be a new life. And then the sky started to change again, late afternoon drifting toward evening. That's when everything cracked. Later, I found out that a younger boy, James Rossi, the son of my parents' friends, had seen me playing and reported it to his parents. And his parents, being adults with adult logic, called my parents. I didn't know any of that yet. All I knew is I was sitting on a lawn with a couple of kids when I looked up and saw my mother walking up the street. And with her, two adults I recognized, the Rossis. My throat went tight so fast I felt like I couldn't breathe. My mother's face was that mix of anger and fear adults get when they're embarrassed in public. The Rossis looked concerned and tense, like they'd been dragged into something they didn't fully understand. As soon as I saw them, my body decided before my mind did. I ran. I took off toward the school, legs pumping, heart hammering, hearing them yell behind me, my name, commands, panic. I sprinted into the track field, and for a second I thought I could vanish into the open space like a bird. But they spread out. They cornered me. Adults move differently when they're determined. The world changes shape around them. Escape routes close without you realizing it. My mother grabbed my arm and started yelling about how scared she'd been, about how irresponsible I was, about what everyone would think. And then something in me snapped. Not in a violent way, in a truth way. I yelled back. I yelled about what her husband did when she wasn't around. I yelled about fear, about punishment, about being accused of things I didn't do, about how the vacuum was never the point. My mother stopped mid-sentence like someone had pressed pause. The Rossis looked shocked, confused, suddenly aware this wasn't a kid being rebellious thing. There was a moment, just a moment, where I thought, maybe this is it. Maybe the truth changes everything. But truth doesn't always save you in real time. I was dragged back. I was taken to where my stepfather was waiting. And the moment the accusations started, the moment my mother's words even hinted that there was a real problem, his face changed. He went hard, furious. Not the wild, yelling fury. Worse. The controlled fury. The fury that stops conversation. He refused to talk to anyone about anything. He didn't explain. He didn't defend. He didn't deny in a normal way. He just growled that we'd better get in the truck now. It was an old truck with a bench seat. My mother got in the middle. I was pressed against the passenger side door, small and trapped, staring out the window like the outside world could open and swallow me. We hadn't been driving 5 minutes before he started screaming, calling me a liar, saying I was trying to ruin him, saying if I didn't want to live with them, they could just drop me off at juvenile hall. My mother tried to calm him down the way she always did. Soft voice, pleading, please, like that word had ever worked. Then he pulled over. On the side of the road, like the whole world was his stage, he shouted, "If you don't want to live with us, just get out. Get out now." There are moments in life when you realize you either have a choice or you don't. I had been told to get out. So I did what a terrified 12-year-old does when she hears an adult give permission to escape. I opened the door. I started to climb out. And then his hand shot across the bench seat. He grabbed a fistful of my long hair and yanked me back, screaming, "Where do you think you're going?" Pain flashed across my scalp. Shock lit up my throat. "You told me to," I screamed back, suddenly hysterical. "I'm leaving, just like you said." My mother's hands fluttered uselessly, caught between him and me, caught between protecting and placating, stuck in the same impossible position she always lived in. I don't remember every detail after that. I remember crying. I remember the truck starting again. I remember the vibration of the road under the tires. I remember getting home, and I remember with a weird clarity that nothing changed. Not really. The tension got worse, if anything, more watchful, more loaded. But inside me, something had shifted permanently. Two things, actually. The first was this. What they were doing to me was not right, not unfair, not strict. It was wrong. And the second was this. I could leave. Maybe not easily, maybe not safely yet, but I had learned the shape of the door. I had learned that my legs worked. I had learned that distance existed. I just needed to figure out how to make it permanent. And that is where the real story begins. If you relate to any part of this story, you're not alone. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse or feels unsafe, you can contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline. Call 1-800-799-SAFE or 988 if you're in emotional crisis. If you're in immediate danger, please call emergency services.